a pretty interesting couple games to watch. Anybody that followed the Super Boost, you cashed in. Anybody that rode with Chad's additional bet, you cashed in. And anybody that paid attention to social media around 11:30 on Saturday night realized that Chad and I were drinking together. So we had a hell of a time. Boys, how we feeling? Chad, I know how you're feeling after Saturday night. Kale, we'll start with you. How you feeling? How was your weekend? How's the fam?
Well, we're on the men from the 1-9, right? So
Yeah.
it was a weekend of recovery, to say the least. Finally, everybody's on the other side of things, so all looking good, man. But good sports. I mean, good April, man. We're in Masters week. We're in a few was it MLB kickoff weekend too, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
this is a good week. April's a good month right now. So it's Monday. It's a little dreary outside, but fun is where your friends are. So here we are,
Yeah.
guys.
Chad, how we doing over there? I know we sat through the morning brew. We sat through a couple of. I mean, there was a couple bangerangs had. There was a couple shake ligers had on Saturday. But how you feeling now, Monday afternoon?
I can tell you Monday evening was a lot better than Sunday early afternoon.
Yeah.
I woke up Sunday and I was like, man, I'm feeling pretty good. By mid-afternoon, I was not pretty good. I
Yeah.
did not leave the couch. My age kicked in. But I did make it to the gym at 5 a.m. this morning. So I got that done so I can go to bed early tonight.
There you go.
If not, I don't know if I'm going to get through the show. So we got to make this one quick tonight, boys.
I don't know if you know this, but the national championship game doesn't start till 9:30 tonight.
Yeah.
And today is actually a huge day for our guys at CoolBet because CoolBet is now officially licensed by Ontario. Ontario has now allowed online gambling sites to not be regulated by the government, which is awesome for us. It does take a little bit of a process to get your account verified if you are in Ontario, so take your time. Don't waste a whole bunch of time at work and then try and do it last minute before you go on for the show because it will not work out for you. But now that we're talking about CoolBet, obviously our promo code still works. Going for two, doubles your first deposit. We still have those gift cards. Chris assured us that if they don't work, we will send you other ones. And on the spirit of it being National Championship Day, I'm rolling Kansas 4.5 and the under 153. Kansas definitely has the best player in the tournament and probably the number one overall pick. But maybe when we get a little bit later into the show, we can get your guys' picks.
Listen, I'll roll with that too. I mean, earlier in the season, we made fun of Kansas for being the only reason you go to Kansas. We were talking football all the time, was to learn how to, try and escape jail or to play basketball, right? So, so, so I'll take Kansas, man. I'm cool with riding with Kansas. If they're gonna be ballers, let's do it.
Yeah, they got a bunch of dogs there, and they look. It's been a nice story, coming off a pretty emotional win down there in North Carolina. I'm not sure if they're going to have enough in the tank for this one, but the games are being played in New Orleans. Yeah. It's at the Superdome, and the New Orleans Saints could not sit on their hands any longer. They could not announce this trade tomorrow. They had to announce this trade today. So I printed the details because there's a lot of moving parts here. So the Saints and the Eagles executed a trade today. The Saints are sending the 16, 19, 194 pick in exchange for the Saints 18, 101, 237, next year's first round pick, and the following year's second round pick. So the Saints, after all of that, have 2 first round picks. The Eagles still have 2 first round picks even after trading that away. So what does this indicate to you for either one of these teams?
So where are the Saints picking, sorry, in the first round?
16 and 19.
And they gave up the 18?
They gave up the 18 and next year's first rounder.
Well, they're either going after a quarterback or they're not. They're trying to get one of them. That's what it says to me. It says Jameis is only a Band-Aid and a Band-Aid only, and we're getting our guy at one of those 2 spots.
Supply chain's got to be bad for Band-Aids because that's an expensive Band-Aid.
Yeah.
My thing about it is I think that they're going to target a wide receiver because I think in that mid area there's going to be a string of wide receivers that are going to go off. They're an offense that needs to have some good wide receivers. They have no idea. I know Michael Thomas is coming back, but where's he going to be long term? We have no idea. They're going to need to sit on some young wide receiver talent for a little while because they're going to be cap strung for a few years anyway. The way they've done things down there. And the other side, I mean, with Philly, I mean, it's just I don't even know what the move is for them. Like, what do you guys think that this is doing for them?
So
just draft capital?
No, I mean, for the Eagles, this pretty much is telling me that this is Hurts's prove it year. Like, we wanted an additional first round pick next year to see, because three first round picks this year. I mean, that might not get it done. There might not be enough positions at where they were picking because if you
it's not a firepower draft either, really, right? I mean, you got some
right.
speedsters, but really they're raw athletes, a lot of them.
Yeah, but I mean, and so for the Eagles, I think this makes it a prove it year for Hurts. For the Saints, this signals to us that, or to me anyway, that they aren't taking a quarterback because they want 2 first round picks. They want 2 guys that are going to start for them right away. They lost their left tackle. They have what was considered one of the top receivers in the league who hasn't played in almost 2 years. And they did pay Jameis. And I think that having Jameis there is going to be at least stabilizing the position. And they've already made it clear that Taysom Hill is the tight end. So one of these first round picks will not be used on a tight end. But if I had to bet money on it, I'm going to say a receiver and a guy like Devin Lloyd from Utah, he's probably one of the best linebackers in this draft.
There's also something else about this too, is that I think that as they get closer to the draft, these picks and the wanting to move up and down the board becomes more evident, right? Now you're sitting there with 2 first round picks that you could move up now. You could begin more conversations.
We got Montreal in the building. Keep going.
All right. Yeah, you could move up again if you wanted to. If you wanted to, revisit that conversation on draft day when a team's looking to move down. If the board isn't playing out or it's playing out and not in your favor, and now you need to move up, or it played out in your favor, and now you can move back down and recoup some of those picks back that you wanted or that you just gave up, right? It gives them flexibility. I mean, that's what the Saints right now certainly need, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could mean that the Saints are going to use these 2 first and try and go up and get a guy like a quarterback. I mean, maybe Chad's right. Maybe one of these guys blew them away, and they got to trade these 2 first round picks with like the Giants at 10 or something like that.
I think it's just usually, like you said, they need the starters. We all we agreed on that. But I'm saying if they think there's a quarterback there worth taking, just say at 13, it's a lot easier to give up one of those 2 picks and then a late round pick, try to give up the farm to get there.
Well, the problem is like if they're going to be trading up with these 2 picks, and like it's still possible. I mean, the Saints make wild moves, but they would essentially be giving up 3 first round picks for whoever this quarterback is because they gave away their first round next year too.
Well, I'm saying if they swapped.
If
they swapped and then gave them a late round pick, and they can still get your guy. Like, because if you are sitting there at the value from 16 to 13, isn't crazy. You would have to give up that much if you swap picks.
Yeah, and you know what? Like this trade is probably one of those trades that no one else cares about. It caught my attention for obvious points. These 4 picks that were all moved around and shuffled around here, they are all the picks that happened just before the Steelers go to the podium. And the Eagles probably aren't in the first round quarterback market. I would have thought that the Saints were, and they still might be. But as I said to Chad on Saturday, I don't believe that the Steelers are going first round quarterback. I think that they're going first round receiver. So this might even signal it even more, saying the Saints knew they needed to get up a little bit more and they needed that extra pick so that they could get the offensive line that they needed and the wide receiver that they needed.
That stretch of like 10 picks right there is where all the offensive linemen, guards, tackles, and wide receivers are all going to go, right?
Yeah.
For sure. That's my guess for sure. Get rid of those quarterbacks in the first 10 picks that unnecessarily.
No way 3 quarterbacks going in the top 10.
I don't know, man. You never know. People are desperate. They're desperate.
Things change every year.
I mean, here's what it is. Do you want to give up your 3 first round picks like you have to see some of these quarterbacks or these teams do, or do you just give up your 7th overall pick and draft what might get you over the hump?
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting to see how these teams are shuffling around. I mean, the Rams are trying to create a new template for how to build your team. And I mean, the Rams, the Rams like free agency. They don't really care about the draft. They like to bring their guys in that they want. They're not sitting there waiting. I think Sean McVay's on vacation that weekend. Probably won't even go to the draft in Vegas, which is probably better because every time people go to Vegas, they seem to get themselves in trouble here. Well, yeah, I mean, that was the news that broke today. What we were supposed to lead off with, and Chad kind of touched on it a little bit earlier this week with the debut of his new show. Bruce Arians decides to call it quits with Tampa. To us, the outsiders, it seems like, wow, why is he doing this right now? Why is it a month before the draft and this guy is stepping down as the coach, going into the the front office? But Chad, this being your team, and if for some reason anybody missed hot takes and pancakes earlier this week, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, I'm not gonna play the card of Bruce Arians as being a nice guy setting up his boy. I think I'm gonna read to the fact that I think Tom Brady called his shot. I'm a massive Tom Brady fan. I'm a massive Bruce Arians fan. But it was clear to me during the season that there was a disconnect. I think they respected each other as the fact that you're a great quarterback, you're a great coach. But Tom didn't come and talk to Bruce on the sidelines.
Right.
Tom always went right to Byron, or he went to Blaine. Like that's where he went every time. Him and BA didn't really have a relationship on the sidelines. I'm not saying that they're not buddies. They probably have a beer or two every now and again. But I think it was pretty clear that when Tom came back, that was part of the conditions. And they can deny it all they want. They can shake hands and hug for the cameras as much as they think they need to get the media off their back. But this is 100% Tom Brady did not want him there. And I don't care what anyone tells me. The two of them could sit in front of me and tell me that. I don't think I believe it either.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that this has a lot to do with Brady coming out of retirement. And this was predetermined for Arians to save face. I think that they delayed the announcement as long as they could, which
100%
makes sense, especially if you're just going to put the guy into your front office. It seemed like he wasn't showing up to every game planning meeting, and if the reports are true, then he really didn't care too much for what Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady were coming up with because he was bringing out the old blue marker. So I think the move is interesting.
Now let me counter that then, Shane. Was he planting seeds early on? Back, months ago when he was talking about how he wasn't in team meetings and it doesn't really fall on him and how successful they've been and stuff like that. Was he already planting those seeds, knowing, hey, like I am actually retiring in a few months here. So if I start making it look like the people that were underneath me that were making this team play really, really well, then I'm just setting them up for success even more. Right? Could that be? I don't know if he thinks forward that far, right? But I mean,
the only thing that makes sense for me is that those guys didn't get jobs. Like maybe he was staying if they couldn't get jobs, if they would have got jobs, so they would have fallen off the wagon completely. Like that would be the only thing that makes sense to me is if that was what he was thinking. Like you said, like he knew he was going to retire, but all of a sudden those two guys were two of the hottest candidates to get head coaching jobs. And they didn't. So now they're back. It's like, okay, well now I can walk away.
And that's just so. And that also just leads me to kind of strengthen what I'm saying even more. You got what Byron Leftwich was supposed like. What more of a romantic matchup do you need to have than the team that drafted you? You ended up leaving that team kind of disgracefully, not disgracefully, but I mean, you were kind of like, pushed away for David Garrard. Now you could have the opportunity to come back as a head coach and bring it up out of the graveyard. And we didn't even hear like that there was a no. It just went quiet in Jacksonville. Like there was like a rumor that he made up this, or a sort of rumor that he said, it's going to be me or Bach as far as the GM kind of thing as a decision. But that was never yes or no or confirmed. And then suddenly it just again went quiet. So that's where I think like maybe BA went to Leftwich and said like, hey bro, like I am leaving here. Like this is going to be all yours. Like the Lion King, one day this will all be yours, and it is today.
Yeah, and what about on a petty level? I'm going to give you a petty level here. So, out of the blue, Bruce Arians starts looking around and says, "I don't have a quarterback. My guys didn't get the jobs that they wanted. I'm losing some free agents." He goes to the owner, let's say a month ago, and says, "Hey, I'm going to step away after the draft." And the owner was like, you know what? Just give us a month here, whatever. See you later. He walks out, and the first phone call he makes is to Tom Brady. And he's like, yo, Tom, Bruce is stepping away. He's like, all right, cool. I'm on a plane. I'll be there. And maybe this is how he came out of retirement. Maybe Brady only knew because the owner tipped him off to it. Maybe this wasn't Bruce Arians stepping away humbly.
Yeah.
No?
No, sorry.
I think there's just so many what ifs in this whole story.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to sit there and make up their own narrative of what went down.
It's easier.
Every Tom Brady hater is going to say it was Tom Brady's fault.
Yeah.
Everybody who's like looking for like the pity case is Bruce Arians just being a nice guy and setting up his boys, the feel good Disney story.
Yeah. That's not a thing.
And I think those are the two ways, and it's like whatever which way you feel about it is the way it's going to go. Is Tom Brady a scumbag, or is Bruce Arians a saint? And like that's how they're going to kind of spin the story. And it's our narrative how we want to believe it.
Yeah, we'll just say that they're both scumbags and move on with it. The overtime rule has changed. Voted on only for postseason, of course, which is probably all we needed anyway. I mean, there's not a whole lot of games that end in ties, and when they do in the regular season, no one gives a shit. Any thoughts on this new overtime rule?
Well, I mean, I'm a fan of it. I mean, I like that it's postseason only because you don't need to add more time or more games. They've already added the extra game there, and in overtime, you maybe have 2 in a season. That could potentially end up being 2.5 quarters worth of time, right? So you don't need to do that. Playoffs make sense. You're going to see a lot of teams go for 2 to force the next team's hand, right? Like if you go for 2, I mean, they have to go for 2 then, right? Like that's the only choice.
Yeah.
So it's really going to make our a namesake come into play here, which is I'm going to love that.
Yeah,
but I really maybe it's me being biased, but I really did prefer the Titans and the Titans idea over top of Philly and Indy's idea about each team at least getting the ball. And it was that, if you went, the Titans one was if you went for 2 on the first touchdown, you could win the game. And I think that was kind of like, it's like basketball. You're going for 2, like you're going for the cutthroat. If you can't stop me on the 2-yard line, me going for 2, then I guess you don't deserve to win the game. You don't deserve to have the ball back. I like that.
Only one team has Derrick Henry, so of course they're going to vote that way.
Yeah,
exactly. But the downside with it was just add more time. You have another team on the flip side that if you miss the 2 points, the other team still has to march downfield again. I mean, it just adds more time to it again. They're trying to cut these. They're trying to at least alleviate the opportunity to have each team having the ball and at least not add a whole lot of time to the game. So I'm okay with them, but wish there could have been more.
Yeah, no.
Get rid of the onside kick. Is that next? Come on.
I think Chad nailed it. Like having going for 2 and then the game's over. Like all we're setting up for is another rule change next year. Like that's not gonna fix it. This I still don't even know if this is gonna fix the problem, but it's better. But we really again changed the rule over one game, which the last time that this happened was when the Saints and the Rams were in the playoffs, and there was that pass interference call that just somehow got missed, and then you could review pass interference, and then the next year it was out because when you go to review it, it was all dog shit anyway.
Well, no, but I mean, this is like the 4th time I think they've tried to go at the overtime rule since 2011. The Kansas City tried to do it after they didn't get the opportunity to get the ball back too. Back in 2018, I think it was when they tried to do that. So they've been trying to do it. I'm just surprised that on the 4th attempt with such a very minor change to the other 3 attempts that were tried already, that somehow it finally got approved.
I don't know. I think they should just left it as is. I'm an offensive guy, and to me, it's like your job's to stop the other team. I don't give a flying fuck if you think you get a second chance or not. You had all game to stop them. And if you didn't stop them during the game, and then they get the ball back and they score, that's on you. You get quarterbacks get paid to score points. Defensive players get paid to stop touchdowns. But do your fucking job, shut your mouth, and move on.
But that would go both ways, right? Because if your job was to stop them and you didn't, then in turn you could say, well, your team's job was to stop them and they did, and that's what got us here to overtime in the first place, right?
You're a defensive player. You stop the offense.
You're right, but now we're going to overtime. We're here because we both couldn't stop the ball, and now we're going to overtime on the flip of a coin, the luck of chance. Now you're going to get it over top of me. Both our defense couldn't stop the ball. Not mine any better than yours. If I got the ball right after you in overtime, I would probably score as well. That's my point there, right? That's why I think they do deserve.
Yeah, well, then the next year, they had 2 times and we only had 1 time. It's the this fucking like everybody feels sorry for us attitude. Fuck you. Do your job, stop them, and move on. But you're just gonna add on times every time. Everybody's gonna complain.
By having the extra possession, you're giving each team an opportunity to do that, to go for two. If you know your defense isn't going to stop them the second time out, you take that opportunity and you try and win it like right there. And that's why I like how both teams can get it. I do like that the first team can go for two and put the pressure heavily onto the other way. I would have preferred to see something a little bit closer to the college game and how they run their overtimes, but that's not really how the NFL is. And I think that if you give Tom Brady the ball in the 25, he's scoring every single time. And probably Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and that's probably the stuff that came into account. And that's probably why they wouldn't go to a rule like that, because the skill level is that much higher. But when it comes down to a coin toss, it's it's the equivalent to a shootout in hockey. It just is like that's why they don't solve playoff games in hockey by a shootout. Your boy Xavier Howard, he got a little bit of money, eh?
Finally, yeah, it's nice to see that happen. And Miami's really turning into a not too bad franchise, and they're really ducking the headlines after making some really bad ones, right? About paying people to be bad.
They're saving all that money because they're going to start to win games now, so they might as well give it to the players at this point. Like, you don't have to pay the coaches to lose anymore. You might as well pay the players to win. Yeah, it's an interesting little theory.
Yeah, it is. It is. No, I like Miami's defense. I've been high on them for 2 years now. You got, like you said, he is my boy. I'm a big fan of Xavier Howard. I think he can, or Xavier Howard. I think he can bring a lot to that defense on the one side of the field that opens up opportunity. I know they're losing their linebacker coach. I mean, there's their pass rush, right? So that was their head coach last year. I'm interested to see how valuable that linebacker squad is still going to be without big BF Flores there. So.
Well, hey, he just went and found himself a whole
another linebacker squad. Yeah. Stop it.
Yeah, he's doing okay. My
computer's about to die. Very bad.
Okay. Apparently, Kalen's having a technical issue, so we'll keep going on this. As far as the Howard deal, I mean, he pretty much got $50 million in extra money or new money. It's just a kind of adding on. It's pushing the money down the road. Kalen has a crisis averted over there. Now, the more pressing question that I have to ask you is, Devontae Parker has been hurt. Clearly, we're staying on the Dolphins here. Clearly, he's a talented guy, and when he's been able to be on the field, he was even able to catch passes from Tua. Not many people can do that. But what kind of disrespect is that to trade this guy inside the division? They're so willing to say, yeah, fuck it, we'll play you twice a year. Who gives a shit?
And haven't you learned your lesson? Did you remember the last wide receiver that Miami traded to New England?
Wes Welker?
Yeah. I mean, like, did you not figure it out, guys? Come on. Like, this team can figure out how to make other players work for them, regardless of what their talent level is. Like, Bill's been famous for that. Show me what you do really well, and I'll put you in that position to succeed, right?
Well, this opens the door, too, for you, Kalen, because I think that N'Keal Harry's going to get cut by the Patriots, and I think he's that he's going to become a Titan. And I think it's a decent fit for him because he's a decent blocking guy. You guys don't need receivers that catch balls. It's not really part of your offense. So I think it's a great move. Chad?
Yeah, I was actually shocked that he went in division. I know he hasn't had a great career so far in Miami, but kind of like what Kellen said, like how many guys have gone to New England from doesn't matter where they are in the league, and they had great careers after that. Right. Bill is like he's a special knack for getting the best out of other players, and he knows exactly usually when to get rid of them. Somehow they usually find their way back to him at a discounted price. So for the Dolphins to give away talent to someone in their own division blows my mind. Because like I said, you got to play him twice a year. And he's going to be put in a position to succeed. And I think Mac Jones is better than Tua. So.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they haven't made a game plan for Tua where they run the ball 55 times in a game and only throw it, once?
No, well, the thing is, like, he's left-handed, so it's like until he learns how to throw with his right hand, he's going to really struggle in the offense.
Some guy on Reddit on April Fool's Day, God love April Fools. There was a lot of good tweets out that day, but somebody put up this posting of rare footage of Tua in practice throwing right-handed, and they were just bullets, right? But it took you a few seconds to realize that the jerseys were looking a little backwards, like mirrored. You realize that it's just a mirrored video, right?
Yeah.
It's like, where the hell has this right arm been? It's
yeah,
crazy.
well, that's what I'm telling you. The guy's an absolute monster. Did you guys see the April Fool's video from like an old Blue Jays at the Skydome?
No.
The George Bell thing? Okay, so, Derek Bell. They have Joe Carter drive onto the field, and this is from years ago. Joe Carter drives onto the field, driving Bell's Jeep, and the PA announcer comes over and says, "The lucky person in this section in this seat just won Bell's Jeep." And he's sitting in the dugout, and you can see his face. He's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck is going on right now?" And like, he has absolutely no idea it's April Fool's Day. He has absolutely no idea what's going on. This guy gets furious to the point of like, he's about to get like old Bell. Like he's about to get, he's about to get mad. And then it cuts off. But you should definitely go check it out because it's absolutely hilarious.
That's awesome. I like watching some vintage Blue Jays. I watched recently a good episode about Dave Steeb. Didn't even know about that fella, really.
Yeah, well, hey, Dave Steeb knew one thing that we know how to do, and that is enjoy the win with Shake Lager, because that guy knew how to enjoy a win. We are enjoying a win. Shake Lager, these guys are pumping this thing out. You know what? Bangarang has taken off. I don't think that Shake Lager is getting enough credit. We went down to the Equal Brew House over, wherever the heck it is. And I chatted with one of the marketing guys there, and he loaded up my truck. And look, those guys are absolutely electric. And if you get a chance to try any of their stuff, definitely make sure that you're checking that out. Definitely. And those Bubba kegs are unreal. And as you can tell. The trade rumors have kind of calmed down on AJ Brown a little bit. It seems like the Deebo Samuel one has kind of gone to the wayside as well. But there continues to be chatter about DK Metcalf. The packages are out there, like some people are offering a first. What's it going to take? Probably a first and a third. Like how much are you really willing to give this guy? Because you're going to have to pay him $25 million a year probably anyway. Seattle is very quietly saying that they will accept offers, but publicly they are saying that there is no way they're trading him. Where there's smoke, there's fire, or is this all just bullshit?
I think it's simple. I don't think anybody anywhere is safe anymore. For the right price, the way the guys are moving.
Yeah.
If I'm a team that's a player away, why am I not offering up a big trade for a guy like DK?
Yeah.
As a team like Seattle who sucks, that draft capital is how you're going to either trade for players down the road, or if you want to build through the draft, you do it your way. It doesn't matter. Whatever way works for you is how you can do it.
Yeah.
But if you know you're not going to win, and there's a team that's right there, why wouldn't you entertain that option?
Right. And
what do you think? Pay this guy. You're going to pay him to lose.
You think of something wild like today there was multiple first-round picks exchanged, and this week we had a Super Bowl winning head coach walk away, and this is the quietest week in the offseason so far. like last year, the talk of the town was, oh, wow, the 49ers just traded up. I think that there's going to be another big move that happens before the draft that people are going to forget that this trade even happened.
What's your big move? Is it going to be a quarterback shuffle, or is it going to be a player trade, or is it going to be a signing? Because there's still lots of good free agents that are out there right now, right?
There's lots of good free agents that are out there. And I mean, I'm not going to say like a signing is going to be a shock because these guys have to sign somewhere. But I'm going to say that there's a trade that happens between now and the end of the draft that is going to blow us away. Don't know what it is. It's not going to be a quarterback, though.
Now, it's crazy to think that like Jimmy wouldn't be a big deal. Like,
yeah.
Still team. But like at this point, if he gets traded, everyone's like, "Oh, it's Jimmy G." But like in past seasons, that would have been massively. This would have been last year. Yeah. He would have got traded. People would have been losing their minds. And this year, it's like that's nothing anymore. We're not entertained.
Yeah, just how it works. Like we're in an era now where the Washington football team isn't paying their bills to the owners, and this is going to be the one that gets Buddy kicked out the door, not all the other wild stuff that's been going on. But I mean, the DK trade rumors.
So
are they real?
No, he tweeted out today, like he retweeted somebody else talking about that the Seattle was still receiving trade calls about him, and he retweeted and said he hadn't heard anything yet. Now you're right, maybe the team's doing it behind the doors, but guys,
absolutely
like,
they are.
Let's be realistic here. Seattle has 3 stars now: Earl Thomas, Bobby Wagner, and Russell Wilson that have all left that team, that franchise, in a not good state. They've got a lot of image rebuilding to do, unfortunately. They don't have a young coach to deal with. And we're looking at a wide receiver that, if he had better hands, is Randy Moss. Randy was only asked to do 2 things: go straight and go post. And that's what this kid does and does really well. The problem is that he has the yips sometimes and is going to drop the ball from time to time. But straight line speed, athletic ability, size, this is Randy Moss of the new generation. They're not giving this up.
It's Randy Moss if he ate Randy Moss.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, physicality wise, he's on a different level. But then they've also got Drew Lock, which is probably not going to be the answer. So you're going to have to probably get another quarterback in the year or two, which is going to tie his hip right to having a player like DK Metcalf. I mean, like, you set yourself up to win so many ways down the road if you have yourself a true number 1 wide receiver. Don't care for $25 million. The cap's going to jump another $30 million next
year. Yeah, and you're probably right. So I mean, since we're on the Seahawks and we're talking a little bit of Seahawks here before we move on to the next guy who abused the Seahawks a couple times, are the Seahawks in the first round quarterback market here?
I don't think so. I mean, here's the perfect quarterback, I think, for them. I don't know if he goes in the first round. I don't think he does. But Desmond Ridder is the perfect quarterback for them. Yeah, I think that guy. I know there's other Malik is up top higher than him, and Kenny Pickett's up higher than him. But when there was a lot of comparative film that I was watching in the last few days. That guy is the most polished quarterback of the bunch, I feel.
I've been saying it for 2 years. Yeah. Only Shane's only wants to believe me.
Yeah, like pocket president wise, that guy just knows how to shuffle. And there was a new thing that I didn't know. I learned it actually watching this, is talking about every time you make a move as a quarterback, the first foot that should be moving is your back foot. And I watched the other quarterbacks, and they certainly do it from time to time. 99% of the time, Desmond Ridder uses his back foot because he can always plan off of it. He's always able to get the throw off because he's always got that back foot ready to throw off of it. So I think that he's going to be, maybe doesn't take the first round, but that's a player to watch out for. That's perfect for Seattle.
That drill Kaylee just talked about, I would teach that every single day.
Yeah, there you go.
I had a rope that would set up. You step over left, take a step back, stepped over right, but always that back foot always went first. Because you lose a split second by doing that. And the first thing I said to Shane, the first time we saw him play, was he moves amazing, and he's always looking to throw, and his eyes never leave downfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was one thing that I noticed too, is that when the pressure came in, the guy rarely ever did this and looked at the pressure. It was always like he saw it, and you could see that he looked with his eyes, that it's there. But the main focus is downfield. Where is my receiver downfield that gets me out of this situation?
And he doesn't turn his back to the line. He always just shuffles and sprints. If he's going left, right, he never turns his back around. And those are things you can't teach. And like the way I try to explain it to somebody was, it takes a special person to stand there and get punched in the mouth. If you're not going to run and scramble and try to hide, and you're willing to stay in the pocket and move, you're always risking that, and you can't teach that. That's something that that's something he's born with.
Yeah,
he doesn't get phased.
And let's put a pin in the first round quarterbacks because we don't want to spoil the final bit. Frank Gore finally retired his football pants, and he has decided that he's done. I gotta tell you, I kind of thought that he was done. I don't remember him playing last year, so
he did. He boxed.
Yeah, I just assumed that he was done already, but yeah, he officially retired now. So, 5 years from,
do you remember what his
5 years
nickname
from
was?
now, he's looking at the what's up?
Do you remember what his nickname was? Rich
Baby
Eisen
arm?
gave it to him.
Baby arm?
Stop it. That was the nickname you gave to him. Remember, he was the inconvenient truth. On the year that he broke out with San Francisco, every time he had a big break run, Rich Eisen would say, "The inconvenient truth." Talking to Prime. It was awesome. I love Frank. I think his story is amazing. Who would have thought that out of a backfield of Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee, who was the other? There was a third running back that was there at the time too. Was Travis Henry there at that time too?
No, he was at Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Who was there was a third one anyway? But out of all those running backs, The Frank Gore is the one that lasts. How many seasons was it? Was it 13?
There's a lot of ACLs torn in those three guys.
Yeah, a lot. A lot of seasons.
Yeah. Just insane, man. Congratulations to him.
Yeah,
Tough as nails.
Hopefully he becomes a better boxer if that's what he's going to want to do. But it's interesting that, like I said, I thought that he was already done. So finally officially done. I'm going to give you some numbers here. 11 years, $231 million. 229 of that has been guaranteed. Who are we talking about here? Kirk Cousins. Could you believe that guy's been in the league for 11 years?
You're so proud. You're like a proud dad right now.
Yo, that is a 4th round pick that has made $250 million. Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really, I mean, we've already
not looked good in the media while doing it too. He's had his times where he's been an asshole, right? And somehow still got past it. So good for him.
So when I look at Kirk Cousins, I think like who would play him in a movie? And I go back to the 90s, and the villain in The Mask would play Kirk Cousins. You know who I'm talking about? Yeah. Like 100%. Like go Google that, check that out. The guy that is always trying to kill Jim Carrey, and he's with Cameron Diaz. That is the guy that would play Kirk Cousins in a movie. It'd be a fantastic movie too.
So it's like a tale of two faces, like a tale of two halves. Is that Kirk? Because the first half he's always shit, and when they're always down, he's always getting all those padded yardage.
Kirk Cousins just always does his thing. He finds a way to get paid. He doesn't give a shit what you think. Doesn't give a shit what I think. But that guy beat Russell Wilson in college and just moved on to the NFL and just calls his shots. Does whatever the fuck he wants to do. I respect.
There's a lot of teams that would take him on their team right now.
Yeah. I mean, probably not before the extension. I think they would have, but like now, like I don't know, like that's a lot.
I don't think Amari Cooper would take him.
Yeah,
I think that's one guy that would be against him playing with him, but
yeah,
because he already had him in Dak, from what I was told.
Yeah, and that got him into a little bit of hot water there. So it's safe to say that Cooper's not on the move to Minnesota anytime soon. Do the Rams have a salary cap?
Les Snead is a genius.
Yeah, like how did they get Bobby Wagner? Did you see how heartbroken the Ravens like players and fans are?
No, that's great.
It's absolutely amazing.
But it sucks for me.
Yeah, well, hey, I think having Wagner on the Rams, so you lose Von Miller, and I know that him and Wagner don't play the same position, but you lose one defensive leader and you just grab another. How is anybody going to run up the middle on the Rams?
Yeah, if for somehow you get past Aaron Donald.
Yeah, Bobby Wagner is
you're just hanging out there.
You are.
The thing is, he's going to play unblocked.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's look. They gave him more money than I thought he was going to get. Like naturally, he's worth that. He's been a 3-time, 4-time All-Pro. Leads his team in tackling all the time. He has stuck through a pretty bad defense in Seattle for the last couple of years, but good for him. I think that he's on the right path. Now, speaking of the right path, Chad, what about if we were looking for some place to go and sit in Grand Bend, where do you think it should be?
There's only one place we're going. It is the Twisted Hook right off the main strip. Sitting out there on the back patio, just having some beers. It's that simple.
And hey,
sunshine.
Yeah, and look, I need it. I am quite pasty right now. These bright lights are on me, and I feel like you can see through my face.
You can't see it in Kalen's dungeon, but he is also very white. As the world will find out very soon. Yeah, when there's the video is there, he's blended in with the murky water. That's how white he was.
Yeah, when Kalen's
it's the filter they're using, Chad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it was like that was literally just overcast and shorts.
Yeah, Kalen, it's our Irish. Don't worry. We get older, our skin gets whiter, and our hair gets redder. It's how it works, man. It's not nothing to hide behind. All right. So as I was saying before, first question: how many quarterbacks are going in the first round in the draft? I mean, we are 3.5 weeks away from the draft at this point, which is kind of crazy to think how fast it's come. But the cool bet futures are going to start hitting the thing here, and we're gonna have to start placing our bets. So, as far as quarterbacks in the first round goes, what are we looking at?
I think 3.5 is a realistic over under.
Uh-huh.
I think if you can push that to 4.5, you might get some value.
Yeah.
I do think Carroll, Pickett, Ritter, and Malik all go in the first round. I think the kid from North Carolina, Howell's that kind of that wild card too.
Yeah, I don't know if Howell would go into the first round, but I agree. Like, it's so hard to, like, there could be 6. Like, if people like Carson Strong as much as I do, and I think that they will, you're shaking your head. I think if Carson Strong doesn't go in the first round, he's going in the second.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that a player like Howell and Strong are both very. I've already talked openly about there's always these reaches in the first round. That is a crazy. That's a man.
But if I'm picking 32, if I can get him at 32 and I'm getting an extra year, you're going to do it.
That's
nothing up. That's really what it's going to come down to.
That's going to be the question is,
you're right.
Are these teams willing to do it for that extra year? And I agree with Chad. I think that they will.
So the teams that are at the back half that have those picks then are fairly set for quarterback outside of maybe the Titans could certainly take one late in the round there. So then that would mean that somebody's trading in to get that draft pick. And everybody's valuing these first round picks with that fifth year option just as much as everybody else is. I mean, look what the Titans and Seahawks are staring down with all these rumors, and San Francisco staring down all these rumors with 2 second round receivers, right? So anybody's going to want that first or that 5th year pick. I just think it's going to be really friggin' expensive. These values of these first round picks have really skyrocketed in the last few years, right? And you give up that much for Sam Howell? Like, come on.
No.
Or do you give up that much? Listen, I know you like him. I think he's an okay quarterback, but Strong is not that the same. He's kind of on the same level.
Well, the problem with Sam Howell is he looks like Baker Mayfield, so I think that's gonna automatically play against him. So he's got that.
Even when the guy's a backup quarterback right now, Shane, he's still taking shots from you.
Yeah, well, he has to because Sam Howell and him look almost identical. Like, their body types are the same, the way they throw is the same. Just one guy played with Oklahoma talent, and the other guy played with North Carolina talent. You know? Sam Howell was a first round pick.
Which isn't that far off.
Yeah, well, Sam Howell was a first round pick last year when he handed the ball to 2 guys that ran for like 2,500 yards combined.
Yeah.
But this year, not so much. You know, you remember me? I told you North Carolina was going to be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong.
Like, as far as like they have the point scale they have, I just pulled it up. What draft picks are worth. If you're picking at between 29 and we'll say 36, there's only 100-point difference in the scale they made up.
Right.
So like you can throw in a pick in the 3rd or 4th round and you're going to have that. So
yeah,
you're giving up a 2nd and a 4th to move back to the 1st. If there's a guy that you believe in that you think you can develop, like are those guys starters? No. But if I'm a team that just has an older quarterback, and I know he's only got 3 years left in tops, that gives me that extra year to watch this kid play.
Right, and if you want to be smart about it, and look, I'm gonna give some advice to the Cincinnati Bengals, who normally I wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire, but today, just for conversation's sake, we'll bring it up. They're going to be at 31. So at 31, who are they getting that contributes to their team day one? They don't need a receiver. They've already got some O-linemen. Their defense is a little bit haggard, but based on the way things are looking, Daxton Hill from Michigan, another fucking team I hate.
Thank you. I was going to say safety, man. That's exactly what Daxton Hill is, a dog, man.
Yeah, so he is going to fall out of the first round. So if you can find a team in the top 10 in the second round that wants to jump up and take 31 from you, and you're still getting the guy that you want, I think that you're signing up for that because you're getting something else out of it as well. And for a team like Cincinnati, who hasn't drafted well outside of the last 2 years, they could probably use 2 quality backup guard tackles or linebackers that are guys that can sit around for the year and learn from the guys that they have and fit into the roster and not have all that expectation. the worst thing to be is a Cincinnati Bengals first-round pick outside of the last 2 years. Really, like, give me one that worked out outside of that.
I don't know. Was
Yeah,
Mixon a first-round pick?
No, Mixon got into a little bit of trouble at school, so he ended up falling out of the first round. He
but corner could be another thing. Like just secondary in general, I think for the.
But the secondary is so stacked in this draft, and that's why and
you can get those guys in the second round.
Yes, like Cincinnati is stupid, so they're not going to fucking do this. But what I'm saying is that's the advice I would give to them, and like the 49ers. Sorry, the 49ers trying to trade out of the first round. That makes a lot of sense. If you can get someone's first round pick and maybe dump Jimmy G's contract, maybe you do that. But anyway, that's just the way that the back half of the draft usually works. If you look back on it now and think, should the Ravens have traded into the first round for Lamar Jackson? If they didn't, that guy would be a free agent right now. And at least now they have another year where they realize, like, okay, like, is he actually our quarterback? Do we actually want to pay him? Because they still haven't paid that dude. So that's the kind of difference that it can make.
He just hasn't picked up the phone. What a weird scenario that is, eh?
Well, and
the GM's coming out and being like, Lamar is basically ghosting us.
Yeah.
Strange.
Well, another guy that's getting ghosted out there is Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. He's getting calls. It doesn't seem like he's getting the contract offers that he wants. And an anonymous GM in the NFL circles has come out and said it's because he lost a step. Now, my question is to you guys. Where did he lose his step? Because he seemed like he was still pretty good.
Guy was covering his and Daniel Sorensen's steps all friggin' year last year.
Yeah.
2 years, 3 years.
Agreed.
The amount of area he covers, if you put him in a system that actually has safety help and corners on his side of the field, his job gets a lot easier. If you're expecting the Honey Badger from 4 or 5 years ago, when he was an all-pro, yeah, you're not going to get that guy. Yeah, he got older. But
he's only 29, though, right?
Yeah, but, like, what are you expecting him to do? If you actually expect him to do his job and his job only, you're getting one hell of a fucking football player.
Right.
Let's just be like, look at his supporting cast. Look at his we talked about Daniel Sorensen was his direct neighbor there for how many years?
Yeah,
go ahead and name
Ryan Gosling and Remember the Titans.
Yeah, and then go ahead and name me the corners that were there outside of Marcus Peters when he got traded away. So, or not really, but released. Was he cut? I think he was cut, right? Or was he traded?
I think he was traded to the Rams.
Was he traded? Yeah. So he gets traded away then, and then name me their supporting cast, because I do like Javarius Ward, I do like Lavarius Sneed, but they're not number 1 and 2 corners in the league. Come on.
Right. They also sound like they play for the Key and Peele All-Star game. So
good corners, but yeah, nonetheless, like,
yeah.
Any safety, and again, his neighbor being Sorensen, the guy is going to have to be asked to do a hell of a lot. Yeah, he's 29. He's breaking down. He also gets to the line and fights against the run. Like, he provides a lot to the teams too, I feel.
Yeah, and
he's on pulling guards. Doesn't turtle, doesn't nothing. He squares them up.
It's the reason why
that guy's a football player,
right?
I got the guy for you. Let's pair him up with Minka Fitzpatrick and see how it goes.
Let's not do that.
No, he's going to Indy.
No, he's not.
I think so. I think it's between you guys and Indy, but I think Indy's going to be.
I would love to see him in Tampa. We lost.
B-Flow and Tomlin are making offers to him, and unless someone pays him more money or gives him a better opportunity to win, it's not going to. I mean, we got Mitch Trubisky and the defense that isn't going to give up more than 17 points a game. We might go undefeated. 16-1. We'll be realistic, right? That's a
this early? You're starting that shit this early?
Hey, the schedule's not even out, and I'm already on it. Yeah, I am all over it.
I think who you play. You just don't know when you play.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking. They have that connection. We actually need safety help, and I'm not saying our corner situation was any better than it was in Kansas City, but Antoine Winfield's a safety that can play to the other side. He has help there. Todd Bowles connection. I'm just wishful thinking, man. I would take that guy all day long.
Yeah, but the Todd Bowles connection is kind of fucked up, right? Because they cut him. So I think that they might be a little bit bitter. But it was probably BA that cut him, so not the end of the world. BA might have already been fired at that point. All right, let's pivot off football for a second because it's the other two things going on right now. It is time to pick your national champion, and then right after we are going to do a 5-second baseball thing where you guys have to pick your World Series champion. I kind of already know Chad's because he was on the Morning Brew, but Kalen, we will actually, you know what, Chad, we'll start with you because I'm curious how you feel about college basketball. I know the first two games that you watched for the Final Four, so I'm curious how you feel about how this one's going to go.
You guys are both saying Kansas. I'm going to ride with North Carolina. Why not?
Okay.
But I'm going to take them on the points. I'm not going to say they're going to win outright.
P.D. Pablo over there.
Yeah, rise up. Taking my shirt off, I won't do it. No one needs to see that here. Yeah. No, I'm going to go Carolina. I'm going to take them on the spread, though, the 4.5. They can score. That's what I learned. And they beat a lot of good teams to get there.
They sure did.
They're not getting an easy road to the Final Four.
Yeah. And, they've been the underdog pretty much the entire way outside of the first game. So, how do you feel about my under? Under 153.5. So, total score stays under 154.
After watching them play with Duke and the way those two teams score, we were watching together. In the first half, I was like, man, this is going to be tight. And they just pulled it out. But the way Kansas shoots the ball, I think over is a good chance we hit that over.
Well, according to Chad, my bet's fucked. Kalen, how you feeling?
I'm okay with it. I'm going to ride your wave, man. I'm taking the Jailhawks, and I'm going to take your under.
He's calling.
Can you call them that?
Yeah.
Yikes! Wait, is that okay that he said that?
What? We talked about this. What is Kansas good for? If they weren't good at basketball, would they even be in a power conference?
Maybe not.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
According to you, they'd all be in jail. So
yeah.
Hey, Texas doesn't like Kansas. It's a bit of a beef there, right?
Hey, I get it. And that's what I was just about to say is for anybody that's wondering why Kalen hates Kansas so much, it's because he's a Longhorn guy. And I mean, as of recently, the Longhorns have been pretty good to us, right, boys?
Great to us.
Yeah. So we'll say Kansas minus 4.5 and the under. Now baseball starts on Thursday, and the Blue Jays made a surprise cut today. Greg Bird. Anybody that didn't watch spring training is like, who the fuck is that? Doesn't matter. He's not on the team anymore anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But quick preview, Kalen, if you didn't catch the Morning Brew, I actually predicted a rematch of the 1993 World Series between the Phillies and the Blue Jays.
Okay.
And I took the Phillies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And as much, if it happens, I will be cheering against my own pick. But the Phillies right now are sitting at plus 3,000 to win the World Series. And hey, that's just not something you pass up on.
So I am going to agree with you. And it's the only time I'm hopefully going to have to say this all year. I do think that the Jays are going to make the World Series. I just think that they, in the AL, have just a complete team from top to bottom outside of some pitching that they still, I think, have to fix a little bit. But every other position I think they're good at. In the NL, it has to be the Dodgers. I know that that's such a cheap pick, but this is a team that, if they are even still 10 games behind at the trade deadline, they're going to go all in to get whatever talent they can to get them back into the playoffs and then win it. Doesn't matter. Whatever position they're going to be in, they're going to be competitive. They're never going to be a seller team. You're kind of like the Red Sox right now with the early 2000 Red Sox. So I feel it was a cheap pick, but I do think, the Dodgers versus the Jays is a good matchup. But a Canadian team versus, LA, it's always good for media. So.
Yeah, and look, I did give a small bit of love to the Red Sox in their signing of Trevor Story.
Yay! That's a great pickup, I think. Leadership, athletic ability.
Yeah,
everything.
and look, if he was a pitcher, they would have a much better team. But because their pitching staff is absolutely dog shit, I believe that the Red Sox and the Mets are going to be the two most disappointing teams in the league.
Really? You don't think that the Mets even have the bats? I think the Mets and the Red Sox have the bats to be able to keep up at least. What do you call disappointing for them? I'm interested to know what that would be for you.
So disappointing for the Red Sox is going to be probably a first round exit in the playoffs. disappointing.
Third in the division in the regular season. Is that disappointing?
You know what? We added a playoff spot this year, so I actually did predict that everybody in the AL East was going to make the playoffs with the exception of Baltimore. With the exception of Baltimore.
Okay.
Because
we said on the morning brews we talked about it.
Yeah, we officially
AL East is probably
we officially eliminated Baltimore from playoff contention, and the season hasn't even started. So I think that they're all going to be in it, but like a quick exit for Boston is a disappointing season, and the Mets spending all that money about losing Jacob deGrom already.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to make the playoffs, and that is a big kick in the nuts.
Are you surprised at how weak, and maybe I'm generalizing when I say this, but how weak the AL really is this year?
Yeah, well, look, I and again, not to continue to reference what we talked about on Sunday or with Chad and I, but the Minnesota Twins are the most underrated team.
Stop it.
Most underrated team in all of baseball.
All right, mark that on your calendar, folks. Do a little remind me.
Braves last year. I'm not saying shit.
Yeah, I picked the Braves last year, and they were under 500 at the All-Star break, and they made it happen. So, look. Shane Sturdamus over here is making shit happen. I actually believe that the Twins are going to win the Central. So,
shit.
Hey, my bank account's going to look pretty.
Yeah.
And all right, so you think Jays Dodgers? Who wins the World Series though?
Well, I think if it's going to come down because it has to be pitching, and I think that the Dodgers are going to be the ones that can invest in the pitching. They've already got the bats, so I do think the Dodgers will be the one that'll win it in a series. Unfortunately.
Okay, so Dodgers go back to back.
Yeah.
I did say the Jays. I just think everything they added in. I don't want to go homer, but the value there too is unreal at plus 800 for what they've done and what they've brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they need a bit. They've got better depth now at pitching, but they could still always take. You're never gonna have too much pitching as you go into the season. Their bats are unreal though. That's like the one thing they have. Like they can outscore anybody any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And I said the one thing is they're probably playing the toughest division in baseball. And they're going to be playing playoff baseball pretty much from All-Star break on. So, like, they're going to be ready to be playing in big games all the time.
Yeah. So, who's making it from the National League, though, Chad?
I don't know, whoever loses to the Jays in the World Series.
Okay. All right. Well, that is your breakdown of the Major League Baseball season from Chad.
Yeah.
All right. Boys, any final thoughts before we roll out here?
Shane, the show comes out tomorrow, man. Get excited.
Hey, I'm fired up, and you and I will get on the Twitch. If it's not this week, then next week, and we'll play an inning or two.
All right, man.
Chad, ready to roll?
Ready to go, man.
Okay. Make sure you check out that national championship game. Definitely go make sure you hit up CoolBet. Give yourself an extra couple minutes to authenticate your account because now that we're in Ontario, we need a geolocator. Check out the Facebook. Check out the Instagram. We have TikTok out there somewhere. We also have Twitter that Chad showed me how to use the other day. And look, things are only going to get better. We got lots ahead of us. And watch out for Kalen's ass going in Port Stanley. That video will drop